Ancient Mesopotamia was a region in Western Asia which has become known as the cradle of civilization due to the huge number of feats the culture achieved. Agriculture, animal herding, and domestication had developed there by 8,000 years ago. By 3000 BC they had created the world's oldest known city and invented the wheel. And along with their advanced solutions to the practical needs of a society, ran sophisticated traditions of occult rituals and witchcraft, which is clearly documented in the Maqlu tablets. A deep insight into the Mesopotamian civilization has been gained from the hundreds of thousands of clay tablets inscribed with cuneiform, one of the earliest forms of writing, that they left. When cuneiform was deciphered by archaeologists in the middle of the 19th century, it meant that text like the Epic of Gilgamesh could finally be accessed and appreciated. The Mesopotamians were prolific in the scope of their writing, and along with the Epic of Gilgamesh, the library of Ashurbanipal also contains tablets detailing military campaigns, treaties, detailed accounts of a monarch's reign, the Enuma Elis, Babylonian creation myth, and astronomical observations. Tablet found elsewhere discuss codes of laws, maps, medical manuals, trade, domestic disputes, and diplomatic correspondence. Maqlu, which means burning, is a work composed around 700 BC spanning 9 tablets. It details a ceremony which was supposed to thwart and drive away evil magic, protect the intended target from the bad magic, and weaken the person who was responsible for casting the malevolent spell or curse. The first 8 tablets feature almost 100 incantations, and the 9th gives directions for the ritual. It is work intended to aid an exorcist and his patient. The Maqlu tablets give detailed instructions to burn a figurine representing the witch in order to dispel the effects of their magic, and this ritual is what gives the inscription its name. For a text like Maqlu to have been created, there has to have been some need in Mesopotamian society for a guide like this. What can Maqlu tell us about witchcraft in ancient Mesopotamian? One of the main aspects of witchcraft that Maqlu highlights is the anonymity of the witch. It is interesting to note the ceremony is not fixated on discovering who has been practicing witchcraft and wronged the patient. It chooses instead to replace the witch with a nameless effigy and trusts that the gods will know who the intended target is. Witchcraft can also learn a lot from the fact that to counteract evil magic, a magical ceremony was undertaken by an exorcist. Maqlu, along with several other Mesopotamian texts, paint a picture of a society where magic was practiced both legitimately and openly, and illegitimately and maliciously. It is implied that evil magic worked as the practitioners tricked the god into believing they were assisting a genuine need. The ritual in Maqlu was supposed to work by revealing the deception to the gods, so they would reverse what they had done. To help the evil does, but we can also build up a picture of a society in which good magic was an everyday part of life for many people. Akkadian was the language of ancient Mesopotamia, and although cuneiform was used over several millennia by a number of different ancient cultures, it is estimated that 30% of the surviving Akkadian cuneiform inscriptions are about witchcraft and the supernatural. A lot of these are not witchcraft in the way we may think of it today in the form of magic spells and ritual, but things surrounding the unknown. Although Mesopotamia was remarkably advanced in many respects, things such as celestial bodies and unpredictable natural phenomena was not fully understood. These things were often looked to as a way of trying to predict and avoid negative events, and a lot of the surviving inscriptions are very detailed attempts to list omens and help evade disaster. One notable mystical text was the Enuma Elis, which is detail around 7,000 celestial omens relating specifically to the king and state. The king was sent regular updates and reports from the predictions by his personal scholars, who were tasked with deciphering the premonitions. Another set of omens is the Summer Aluina Mele Sakin, which consists of 120 clay tablets and over 10,000 ill omens. Linked to they being too many of one kind of person at any given time. Perhaps today these particular omens would be seen as common sense more than esoteric. One of the more unusual set of omens is the Summer Isbu. These are omens which are connected to deformed human births and bizarre animal births such as conjoined animals. They was not always negative and they were often linked to the side of the body that the deformity related to a deformity on the right-hand side was bad, but on the left it may have been seen as lucky. Although many people believed in or even practiced rudimentary magic, there were also professional magicians in ancient Mesopotamia. These professional magicians would have been specialists in a particular field of magic. Some would have been specialists in divination, while others would have been professional exorcists. As with some other ancient societies, many of those who worked in a field that was not fully understood were considered to be magicians, so scientists, doctors, and astronomers were placed alongside mystics and exorcists. It was also possible to specialize within these fields. One set of mystics who specialized in a particular form of divination was the Baru, who made predictions based on reading the livers of sacrificial animals. Evidence of magic in day-to-day life. There is one tablet which provides evidence of everyday witchcraft, listing types of stones and their magical associations. So the user would know what kind of stone to carry to attract or dispel particular gods and goddesses. Further evidence of the everyday belief in and practice of witchcraft is visible in a plethora of surviving artifacts. Clay figurines representing gods, animals, and mystical creatures have been found at homes across Mesopotamia. And they were often kept hidden in areas of the house that could have been seen as prone to access by spirits and demon. And just as a representation of an evil which could be used to repel their magic in an exorcism, there is evidence that pregnant women wore pendants with representations of the demoness Lamoshtu, who was known to attach pregnant women and infants, in an attempt to ward off her spirit and provide a wearable form of protection against her. When cuneiform was first decoded in the mid-19th century, it made it possible to access hundreds of thousands of text for the first time. It must have been surprising to learn people in ancient Mesopotamia were so advanced and made so many significant discoveries. It must also have been a major juxtaposition that a society which made so many logical and intellectual leaps would also believe so widely in magic, which is perceived by many today as irrational. But perhaps the Mesopotamian belief in magic should be seen instead as further evidence of their rationality and intelligence. The ritual exorcism described in Maqlu might be easy to scoff at today, but it provided comfort and reassurance to the victim. Perhaps more importantly, it dispelled and punished the witch anonymously, which avoided any need for a public witch hunt. Something that would have ended in violence and confrontation.